Hi, and welcome to 647, 6 stories for 7 a.m. Why? Because there's a famine of truth in our land. And this is your quick news fix. And the truth starts now. And this, I knew you forgot about it, so I'm going to remind you again. It's Tazewell Tuesday, and we have another contestant. You have to wait for take 6 to find out who it is. So take 1, N, N, M. What could that mean? N as in Nelson, N as in nutcase, M as in Mary. It's the first time in 50 years that we have negative net migration. I'll say it again. First time in 50 years, negative net migration. Dems told us it would take 10 years to fix the border. Trump fixed it in 60 days. The issue is intention. If your intention is to build a blue paid-for voter base, it could take more than 10 years, but we're stupid. So in 2024, we accepted 2.8 million people coming in with Mr. Softy, and now less than zero due to the Alligator Alcatraz Incentive to Leave program. Gran Dio, no quiero caimanes, vámonos. Just throwing in a little Spanish for you there in honor of El Rushbro. All right, take 2. Loony, leftist, loyalty. It's alliteration, you know. You're getting it all on this Tuesday. In June of 2024, Elon was the king of the Looney Tunes. He sold them hundreds of thousands of Teslas, which they all had to drive as a virtue signal that they were saving the planet. The only stronger symbol was to drive a Tesla wearing a surgical mask on your face, Birkenstocks on your feet, and a coexist bumper high on the back of the car. Golden. Now, once Elon backed Trump, it was screw the planet. Elon's a Nazi fascist breeder. Get out your key and scratch every Tesla you see. Can you imagine if MAGA behaved even half that crazy? Blue states would call out the National Guard. So now, Elon and Tesla used to have the highest brand loyalty when the Earth Goddess smiled. Now it has dropped from 73% return customers to 49.9%. What does that tell you? It tells you that the electric car market is all leftists. And as Elon has pretended to hate Trump, his loyalty percentage has risen from 49.9 to 57.4. These leftists are complex people. In Europe, another leftist hotbed, Tesla sales are down 33%. And help me figure this out. Leftists left Tesla, but didn't go to other EV providers. What about the goddess? What about global warming? What about climate change? What about the whole climate religion? They left Tesla and didn't go get another electric car. I can't figure it out, but I'm afraid that it might mean that they don't really love the planet. They are mocking the goddess, and the results will be a cursed midterm. Lefties, plug in or plug off. All right, take 3. Dems are going to copy the MAGA podcast craze. Should go well. Remember the lefty trifecta to compete against Rush Limbaugh on Air America? That show had Al Franken, Rachel Maddow, Montel Williams, and Janine Garofalo. You had to take handfuls of Zoloft just to get to the first 15-minute section. Dems plan to spend, catch it, $10 million to enlist 667, it's very specific, tight tolerances on this plan. 10 million to enlist 667 content creators to reach 83 million undecideds before the midterms. You know there are some blue consultants all over this with these very exacting numbers. 667 content creators to reach 83 million undecideds before the midterms. They're going to have a social media boot camp for content creators, meaning every donor's loser grandson who wants to do stand-up but is too strange and not funny. This will be funny to watch. As the GOP social media guys say, hilarious and pathetic. We don't pay anyone to support Trump. This is all organic. And most MAGA podcasts operate on a shoestring. Ask Pat. Dems are low in the polls, humorless, and will not work hard even when paid, and grossly poor at creation. Save your money, donors. You're going to get burned again. Remember Beyonce, 11 million just to show up and not even sing one song? That's how they roll over there on the left. Item 4, don't eat wild pigs with blue meat. I know you're not getting this. I'm going to repeat it. Don't eat wild pigs with blue meat. This is not some strange, funny political yarn I've come up with, nor is this story for Blue City Yupsters. 647 has many folks who hunt, and many of them hunt wild pigs and wild boar, especially down here in Florida. We got a lot of folks from Tennessee. They do it out there. And California has 58 counties, and 56 have pretty substantial populations of boar and wild pigs. So in blue cities, the fanciest Michelin-rated chefs offer the bored and overindulged wild game menus, often with wild pig and boar. So what's the difference there? Well, a boar, that's an animal unto himself. But a wild pig is a domesticated pig who decided to have a great Saturday night with a wild boar. And that offspring is a wild pig. So there are all kinds of lessons there. It's an analogy for human beings, and you could contemplate on that almost like it's a parable. All right, so now you have that tidbit under your belt. What could you get if you're a bored yuppie in New York City? You don't want to hunt these crazy things. They're actually a little dangerous to go after. Well, you just go out to eat at the fanciest places, and they'll offer you Tuscan wild boar ragu with pappardelle pasta. I've had it. It's gamey and great. When I used to indulge in wine, the biggest red I could find. All right, there's wild boar Piedmontese with spicy sun-dried tomatoes and asparagus with lemon mayonnaise. And 1 hour from me is the Ravenous Pig, a super yupped-out gastropub with a brewery and a beer garden, complete with a 14-foot stuffed gator in the center of the dining room. No Michelin rating yet, but looks great. Now, back to blue pig meat. A wildlife trapper in Monterey County, California, was processing a series of wild pigs this past spring and found several to have blue fat and blue muscle tissue. Turns out it's because the pigs have been eating a rodenticide, right? For you from Brandon, that means rat poison. A rodenticide from rat traps laced with an anticoagulant called difacinone. Recently outlawed, but you can still use it for rats who love agricultural areas, as do wild pigs and boars. Difacinone is so nasty, they mix it with a dark blue dye to warn of its presence. This is also why they make lefty girls dye their hair blue. But I digress. It has been found in 8.3% of wild pig tissue. Shockingly, in 83% of bear samples, because bears are just giant raccoons and forage everywhere. If you remember Yogi and Boo Boo, foraging was the plot line of every single episode. This don't eat the blue meat. This could apply this rule to many situations, but as it pertains to wild pigs, don't eat the blue meat. Enough said. Take 5. Trump wants the Nobel Peace Prize. How can you tell? He is sending special envoy Steve Witkoff to make a deal with the man who can get it for him, Vlad the man. Steve Witkoff is going to visit Putin in Russia this week on August 6th or 7th. That's Wednesday or Thursday. Why those days? Because Trump's deadline for Russia to make a deal with Ukraine is Friday, August 8th. If not, Trump will bring new and hard economic restraints on Russia and on any country helping Russia. Hello, India. Hello, China. China has purchased 47% of Russian crude oil, and India has purchased 38%. Tariffs will climb until the deal is made. So yesterday, Trump moved 2 nuclear submarines to the region of Russia. This was because Russian President Medvedev was posting on Telegram about their dead hand system that they have. If you don't know about it, it's 4,000 nukes pre-targeted to everywhere in the U.S., and if their leadership is wiped out, they auto-launch all at once. Let's hope we never see that. Okay, so right now at the poker table, Putin can wait. He's winning the war in Ukraine, but running out of bodies to throw at it. He's unpopular because of the body count, but he has lots of oil money in his pockets. He can wait. Zelensky is getting more weapons from NATO that we are selling to them. Again, this is Trump squeezing Vlad by selling NATO weapons, which they give to Zelensky. So Zelensky can wait. Trump has the least leverage. He wants the Nobel Prize, and the Nobel Prizes will be announced at the end of the first week of October. This is a high-stakes table. Nobody folds. Let's watch the deal master. He's in 3rd place right now. All right, folks, it's Tazewell Tuesday, the competition to unseat the fornicating duo from West Virginia is on, and we have a new contestant. It's 29-year-old Cheyenne, Wyoming man who was arrested for taking a motorized golf cart off-roading inside the Buffalo Niagara International Airport. Kevin Sinning, who authorities say appeared to be intoxicated, decided to take a golf cart onto a moving walkway in the airport's terminal. A video of the incident, posted by a TikToker, has been viewed millions of times in 24 hours. Shows an unperturbed Kevin sitting in the golf cart on the moving walkway, which is too narrow to accommodate the golf cart. An airport spokesperson told the TV stations she was grateful for quick action of the police and hoped they could stop something like this from happening in the future. The West Virginia police had a better sense of humor about this. So while it may seem humorous, airport authorities weren't laughing. According to a statement from the Niagara Frontier Transportation Authority, sounds very serious, Police Department's Aviation Division, the incident happened at 12:53 a.m., late at night in the airport. You know Kevin was in the bar, right? Probably missed a flight or had a flight stalled. It's actually, let's apply the Coldplay science here. You blame the airports for poor planning, and then poor Kevin ends up drunk and gets in trouble. So Kevin hopped into a prime flight cart, drove it down the length of the moving walkway, causing extensive damage to the vehicle, the walkway, and the glass panels on either side of the walkway. Kevin was arrested and charged with second-degree criminal mischief, disorderly conduct, criminal possession of stolen property, the cart, criminal nuisance, third-degree grand larceny. And Kevin, who NFTA reports say was visibly intoxicated at the time, didn't seem to be bothered in the slightest by his destructive actions. Once behind the wheel, Kevin wedged the too-wide electric cart into the walkway, oblivious to the damage he was causing, and continued driving. Now, look, this was a reasonable effort by Kevin, but only one discipline, and we have to say it, poor technique. The judges gave him a low score, so Kevin is not a contender. West Virginia is still on top. And we're going to be on top, but there's only one way we can do it. It's Tazewell Tuesday, and you need to get on the stick. You need to share us with more of your friends. You need to like us. You need to give comments to us so we can get better. And look, Tuesday can be rough. That's why we focus on people who are coming up with creative ideas for Tuesday. Tuesday is just the ugly sister of Monday. You need to come up with something special, and you need to make it happen. And when you do, we are going to pray to God Almighty that He will bless you, and that creativity, integrity, and momentum will take you the rest of the way through this week. Are you watching for Trump? There's big action in Russia. There's big action in Texas. There are a lot of things happening. This week is packed. So let's get to it. All right. Take care and God bless.